It already has an impressive record of outreach activities. And I think this will hugely help you to encourage underrepresented groups to enter the profession and contribute.
In a surprising and unexpected move, Princess Anne has reportedly stopped Queen Camilla from participating in Prince William's coronation, and it is confusing the palace. Behind closed doors, tensions have grown very high, and the royal family is now dealing with a serious disagreement, one that could disturb the carefully protected way the monarchy runs. So, what finally made Anne take such a firm position? Is there trouble between the two of them? Join us as we unravel Princess Anne's unexpected decision to block Camilla from Prince William's coronation. Princess Anne's bold move against Camilla. For hundreds of years, the royal family has depended on tradition, strict rules, and carefully planned ceremonies to keep everything running smoothly. Every change of power is usually handled with calm order and clear unity. When the time came for Prince William to step forward into a greater leadership role, many expected the transition to be steady and fully supported by the whole royal institution. But behind the grand halls and polished public appearances, something very different was happening. Instead of harmony, there were growing tensions. Instead of open disagreements, there was silence. What should have been a smooth handover slowly began to feel like a quiet battle. Loyalties were divided. Some family members stood firmly on one side, while others held back. Important choices were being made in private rooms, far from public view. It was not loud or dramatic, but it was serious. Then came a move that few people expected. Princess Anne, the daughter of King Charles and one of the hardest-working members of the royal family, has always been known for her discipline, focus, and deep sense of duty. She rarely seeks attention and rarely creates public drama. Yet this time, she made a decision that shocked even experienced palace insiders. She did not give a speech. She did not criticize anyone in public. She did not raise her voice. Instead, she acted quietly and firmly. With calm precision, she stopped a key process in its tracks. Queen Consort Camilla was quietly removed from the earliest and most important planning talks about the next coronation. This was not a small oversight. It was not a simple mistake. It was complete exclusion. For weeks, important invitations had been sent out. Private briefings were held. High-level strategy meetings took place. Confidential documents were passed around between senior aides. Yet through all of it, Camilla's name was missing. Not once was she included. Not once was she copied into the discussions. What made the situation even more surprising was how smoothly it was carried out. Prince William's closest advisors acted quickly and confidently. They followed Princess Anne's direction without hesitation. Every paper, every conversation, and every early decision about the future coronation was kept within a small, tightly controlled circle. That circle answered directly to Princess Anne and Prince William. According to palace sources, Camilla did not learn about her exclusion through an official meeting or formal letter. She reportedly found out by accident. Members of her own staff began asking questions after noticing that she had not received a key planning memo, one that should have automatically reached her desk. That was when the truth became impossible to ignore. The emotional impact was immediate. People close to Clarence House say Camilla felt completely blindsided. It was more than surprise. It was hurt. It was disappointment. It felt like betrayal. Not only from Princess Anne, but from the royal system she believed had finally accepted her after many difficult years in the public eye. But why would Princess Anne take such a bold step? Let's find out. Princess Anne's tension with Camilla. Within the royal family, Princess Anne has long been seen as the strong support of the monarchy, the steady force that keeps everything standing. She is known for her strict self-control, deep respect for tradition, and a lifetime of service done quietly, without show or drama. Anne does not look for cameras or try to win headlines. But when she takes action, everyone in the palace notices. Behind her calm and controlled image, however, there has been a tension building for years, something few people outside the royal inner circle truly understand. Much of that tension centers on Camilla. From the early days when Charles and Camilla returned to public life as a couple, Anne never fully warmed to her. As time passed and Camilla moved from being a controversial figure to becoming Queen Consort, Anne's attitude did not change. She remained cool, distant, and careful. While other senior royals made clear efforts to welcome Camilla into the family and kept things strictly formal, she did only what royal rules required. There were no warm public moments, no shared projects, no clear signs of closeness, just polite respect, nothing more. This distance was not about jealousy or personal hatred. For Anne, it was about principle. Anne strongly believes in rank, duty, and the idea that position must be earned through many years of hard work, not reshaped by public sympathy or careful image repair. In her view, Camilla's rise, made possible through marriage and a carefully managed improvement of her public image, did not feel fully earned. One palace insider once shared that after an event at Balmoral, Anne quietly told a trusted friend, "Some people wear the crown for duty, others wear it for appearance." She did not mention any names, but the meaning was clear. When Charles became king, Anne's concerns reportedly grew stronger. Camilla's influence seemed to increase quickly. She took part more in discussions about royal rules, spoke more confidently during public events, and appeared more comfortable shaping how she was seen within the royal family. To Anne, this was not simple confidence. It felt like stepping beyond proper limits. It seemed like an effort to reshape her role rather than stay within it. The tension was not only seen in public. Behind closed doors, problems were said to have appeared during at least 2 major state events. Palace aides claimed Anne stepped in when Camilla tried to lead certain ceremonial matters. During one diplomatic reception, Anne reportedly interrupted Camilla while she was speaking with a foreign envoy and calmly took control of the conversation. In Anne's mind, this was not rivalry. It was setting things right. Privately, Anne is said to have spoken with Prince William. She warned him that Camilla's growing confidence might blur the line between symbolic support and real power. Anne worried that if this continued, it could upset the careful balance of authority that keeps the monarchy stable. Her concern, she believed, was not personal. It was about protecting the system itself. According to royal insiders, these private talks may have marked an important turning point. Though nothing has been officially confirmed, many believe Anne's conversations with William may have influenced the decision to limit Camilla's role in coronation planning. In Anne's view, this was not about punishment. It was about protection. She saw Camilla's expanding presence not as strengthening the throne, but as possibly challenging it. With William preparing for a future filled with modern pressure and public attention, Anne reportedly made a careful choice. She acted quietly and firmly, without public explanation, choosing silent resistance over open conflict. But what Anne sensed might happen, William may already have feared. A source close to the Prince of Wales claimed that a private meeting between William and Camilla a few weeks ago changed everything. During that confidential talk, the future king reportedly set clear limits on roles and influence. Instead of agreement, he was said to have been met with cold resistance. So, was there a quiet and unspoken split within the royal family? Let's take a closer look. The clash at Clarence House. The tension between Prince William and Camilla had been growing quietly for a long time. It did not happen all at once, and there were no loud arguments in public. Instead, it showed in small pauses, tight smiles, and moments that felt uncomfortable but were never talked about openly. Everything finally reached a breaking point during a private meeting at Clarence House. The meeting was supposed to clear the air, but instead it revealed just how deep the divide between them had become. In public, William always acted perfectly. He was calm, polite, and careful with his words. But in private, he felt increasing pressure. He watched as Camilla stepped more confidently into royal ceremonies, spoke with greater authority, and placed herself at the center of important moments. William believed many of these moments should focus on the future of the monarchy, not its past. What began as a small personal discomfort slowly turned into something much more serious. For William, this was no longer about emotions. It was about leadership, order, and protecting the future crown. When he asked for the meeting, he did not go as a stepson or simply as family. He went as the Prince of Wales, preparing for the day he would become king. He wanted a calm and respectful talk about boundaries. He hoped to ask for space in a peaceful way. Instead, the meeting turned into a quiet battle of determination. Those familiar with the conversation say William spoke clearly but politely. With coronation plans moving forward, he explained that he needed space to shape his future reign. He wanted room to lead and define what his time as king would mean. He said that while Camilla's role had once made sense, her continued involvement in key planning meetings now felt intrusive. He asked her to step back from major discussions, especially those involving important symbolic and ceremonial choices that would shape his future as king. There were no insults, no shouting, no attempt to embarrass her. It was a careful request. Camilla reportedly smiled, but her smile seemed sharp. In a tone that mixed light humor with dismissal, she replied, "It's all symbolic tradition, darling, nothing more." To William, this was not a simple comment. It felt like she was dismissing the importance of what he was trying to do. It felt like she refused to accept that the moment had changed and that the focus was shifting away from her. Something inside him finally gave way. Breaking from his usual calm behavior, William answered firmly. Insiders say his words were direct and unforgettable. "This is not your crown to shape." The words were strong and final. After that, there was no shouting, no dramatic argument, just silence. A long, heavy pause filled the room. Then William stood up and left without waiting for her reply. His decision had already been made. The next day, he met privately with Princess Anne. The timing was no accident. After the conversation with Camilla, everything had become clear to him. This was about authority, public image, and the long-term future of the monarchy. Anne agreed with him quickly. Together, they decided that Camilla would no longer take part in coronation planning. They did not inform her immediately. The change was quiet and carefully planned. Meeting topics were slightly adjusted. Guest lists were revised. Messages were redirected. Planning continued, but without Camilla's name included. The palace system, built on quiet signals and unspoken rules, adapted smoothly. It was not open rebellion. It was a controlled shift in direction. William had drawn a clear line. Anne supported it, but Camilla was not ready to be pushed aside. When she eventually learned what had happened, her reaction was intense. According to sources, she angrily declared, "I am queen inside Clarence House." Beneath her anger, however, was something deeper. Fear. Fear of losing influence. Fear of being slowly erased. She did not learn the truth through an official message. Instead, it came by accident. A small change appeared on a staff calendar. A short note mentioned a coronation planning meeting at Kensington Palace.
Kensington Palace has an extremely rich history. It was purchased as a tiny little house in the...
Her name was not on the list. At first, her team believed it was a simple mistake, but as calls were not returned and messages were met with silence, it became clear that this was intentional. She had not been forgotten. She had been excluded. Her advisors urged her to remain calm and careful, but her anger was hard to contain. This was not just about missing one meeting. It was about what that absence meant. Her voice no longer carried the same power. Feeling betrayed, she reportedly entered a private room where King Charles III was reviewing official papers. The doors closed behind her. Raised voices were heard, though nothing was officially confirmed. "They cannot treat me like a guest," she is said to have cried. Charles found himself in a difficult position, torn between being a husband and being a king. He did not openly defend her, but he did not argue either. His silence was powerful. In that quiet moment, Camilla realized something painful. His loyalty was with his son. For years, she had carefully worked to improve her public image and secure her place in the monarchy. With patience and strategy, she had earned acceptance. But now the institution that once supported her seemed to be moving on. She felt outside the inner circle. Still, giving up was not in her nature. Behind the scenes, she organized her team. Plans were discussed, carefully timed public appearances, private conversations, subtle reminders of her role. The goal was not to create open conflict, but to regain her position and influence. Yet the reality remained clear. William's coronation plans were moving ahead without her. Alliances were strengthening. Decisions were being made. The story of the future monarchy was being written, and her role in it was shrinking. In royal life, being seen matters deeply. And for the first time since becoming queen beside Charles, Camilla felt herself fading from view. As she tried to hold on, someone else quietly stepped forward. Catherine, Princess of Wales, moved into a stronger role without conflict or drama. Standing beside William, she represented calm leadership and public trust. While Camilla struggled to remain central, Catherine seemed to naturally reflect the future of the crown. In that quiet shift, the balance of power changed, and the direction of the monarchy became clear. Could Catherine be quietly gaining influence within the monarchy? Let's find out. Catherine's growing role in the monarchy. As rumors spread that Camilla was being left out, another presence quietly took control. Without speeches, demands, or drama. Catherine didn't ask for space, and she didn't need to. She stepped into it naturally, carrying a calm authority that spoke for itself. While others pushed to be noticed, Catherine let her influence grow slowly, earned through her calmness, thoughtfulness, and full focus. Senior palace staff later said her role in William's early coronation meetings wasn't just for show, it was important. From the start, Catherine helped shape the mood and meaning of the ceremony itself. She wasn't interested in following tradition just because it had always been done that way. She wanted the coronation to feel alive, to connect, to matter, and to speak to a new generation watching closely. It was Catherine who suggested giving young people a visible role in the procession, letting the future be part of the moment. It was Catherine who proposed honoring Queen Elizabeth II in a way that respected history, while also pointing forward, mixing tradition with purpose. And it was her quiet, steady presence that won over every advisor in the room. Where Camilla's actions drew attention and raised questions, Catherine moved so smoothly that no one resisted her. Her influence wasn't announced, and it didn't need to be. You could feel it. Palace aides described her as thoughtful, intentional, and perfectly in sync with William. They didn't act through rank or command, they worked as equals. One insider put it simply: William brought strength, Catherine brought balance. Together, they were shaping the coronation in ways few inside the palace expected. There were no headlines about Catherine's rise, no grand announcement, just a steady presence that grew impossible to ignore. The palace never officially declared her importance because it didn't need to. The public already noticed. After years of scandals, tension, and public fatigue, people found comfort in Catherine's quiet rise. She felt grounding, polished yet relatable, dutiful without arrogance, elegant without pushing herself forward. Polls quietly confirmed what advisors had long felt. People weren't reacting to titles or bloodlines. They were responding to something rarer: authenticity. In that authenticity, Catherine was becoming what Camilla never fully managed to be: a symbol of trust. Even more striking, Catherine never tried to replace anyone. She didn't compete with Camilla. She simply represented what the monarchy was moving toward, and, in some ways, what it had once been. Behind palace gates, as power shifted in subtle but clear ways, one truth became obvious. The future queen wasn't waiting for a crown. She was already acting like one. But just as William and Catherine's vision began to take shape, a secret meeting threatened to undo everything. In a quiet corner of Windsor, King Charles called Princess Anne for a private talk. Sources later described it as tense, restrained, and deeply personal. What was said, and what Anne refused to do, could change the course of the royal family. The meeting started politely, but the pressure was heavy. Charles, under growing pressure from Camilla, was trying to regain control. He wanted Anne to reverse her decision and undo the quiet but firm move that had kept Camilla out of William's coronation planning. For Camilla, it was a humiliation she could not forgive. For Charles, it felt like a crack in the fragile unity he had worked for years to maintain. But Anne had not come to Windsor to back down. She came, as always, not to protect feelings, but to protect the crown. Charles argued not as a king, but as a husband. He spoke of loyalty, of redemption, and of a woman who had suffered judgment and believed she had earned her place. "She is my wife," he reportedly said, his voice full of emotion. It wasn't just a statement, it was a plea. Anne never raised her voice. She didn't need to. Her answer was calm, firm, and final. "He is our future." But what does this mean for Camilla? Could it signal the end of her time as queen? Let's take a closer look. Camilla's shocking exclusion. King Charles watched silently, feeling the heavy weight of time. Getting older had made him more aware of the future, and right now, It felt tight and harsh. He hadn't just failed to change Anne's mind. He had to face a tougher reality. His influence wasn't what it used to be. The power he once had without question now had clear limits he couldn't ignore. Camilla had once been his safe place, the steady support he relied on through years of public attention and private struggles. But now, instead of bringing the family together, she had become the very source of tension. The room fell silent, the air thick and uncomfortable as the conversation stalled and eventually died. By then, Charles must have known he couldn't win this battle. Anne did not act like a caring sister or a comforting ally. She stood firm, like a guard at the gate, strong, determined, and unmoved. Her stance showed no doubt, her eyes no apology. When the moment passed, she simply got up, gave a short nod, and walked away. No closing words, no softening the blow, no attempt to make peace. That was it. There would be no joint appearances, no staged smiles, no public display of unity to reassure the world. The meeting ended, and with it, the illusion that harmony still existed inside the palace. What came next was not peace but a quiet storm, a slow, calculated tension within the family that would play out quietly, without headlines. Anne had drawn her line, William had made his choice, and Charles, even wearing the crown, began to understand a painful truth about power in the monarchy. It isn't something you own forever. It is borrowed from tradition, protected by family loyalty, and shaped by those willing to defend what they believe the crown should represent, no matter the personal cost. As tensions hit their peak, palace aides acted fast. A statement was carefully drafted. Every word was chosen, every sentence polished. But what the statement didn't say spoke louder than the words it included. When the palace finally spoke, it essentially said nothing. The announcement was calm, short, and intentionally vague. It downplayed any internal disagreement and presented a picture of smooth teamwork. Released quietly through official channels, it mentioned ongoing cooperation between senior royals in support of the Prince of Wales. No names were used, no details given, and most noticeable, Camilla's name was missing. That silence became the story. Royal commentators and media analysts immediately focused on the wording. Headlines highlighted the repeated support for the Prince of Wales. In royal language, silence can speak as loudly as words, and Camilla's absence was impossible to ignore. For those watching closely, it looked like proof. The Queen Consort had been pushed aside, and the palace had no plan to explain why. Inside the palace, calm was just for show. The real mood was tense and nervous. Internal memos gave urgent instructions. Stay on message. Avoid speculation. Do not speak to the press. Staff were told to deny knowledge of planning meetings and, most importantly, not to mention Camilla in any coronation discussions. It was a full effort to control the story, limit damage, and maintain the appearance of unity. But appearances only work when cracks are hidden. This time, they weren't. Camilla's team, caught off guard again, reportedly felt deeply betrayed. She hadn't just been left out. She was being erased. One insider described the atmosphere as filled with quiet anger and whispered talk of retaliation. Some urged her to speak up and defend herself. Others suggested patience, silence, and dignity, hoping time would restore her public role. But for Camilla, the damage was already done. She hadn't just been sidelined, she had been made invisible. And in a monarchy where image is power, invisibility isn't just an insult, it's a kind of exile. Has Princess Anne's power grown so much that even the words of the crown now reflect her clear strength and resolve? Why did she write a letter? Let's take a closer look. Princess Anne's secret letter. In a shocking revelation, a private letter from Princess Anne emerged. It had been written for only one person, her brother Charles. It was never intended to reach anyone else. Yet the contents struck at the very heart of what the monarchy claims to stand for, exposing tensions and worries hidden behind centuries of ceremony and duty. Weeks before Camilla was quietly sidelined from Prince William's coronation planning, Anne had taken pen to paper and addressed her concerns to Charles. That in itself was unusual. Anne was known for her formal restraint, but it was the emotion threaded through the words that caught attention. Beneath the formal style, the letter revealed something deeply personal and troubling. Anne saw the monarchy as slowly losing its way, drifting away from the principles it was meant to uphold. She wrote about the crushing weight of tradition, not only on those who bear it now, but on the generations it is meant to safeguard. Her concern was not born of jealousy or rivalry. It came from genuine worry and a sense of duty. Anne warned that without limits, without discipline, the monarchy risked becoming what she described as a pageant of contradiction, a place where appearances mattered more than purpose, where style could replace substance. Though she never mentioned Camilla by name, the message was unmistakable. Anne spoke of the dangers of public perception, of how trust can begin to erode when personal relationships are allowed to outweigh the responsibilities owed to the nation. Every sentence carried weight, firm and unapologetic, a reminder that the monarchy exists first and foremost as an institution, not as a family drama. She went on to describe William as the last strong pillar of both tradition and vision, a statement of faith that revealed her deep confidence in him and her belief that the future of the crown rested on his judgment. Anne urged Charles to step back, not as a brother receiving advice from a sister, but as a custodian of an institution that demands sacrifice. Letting go, she argued, might be painful, but it was necessary. For the monarchy to survive, personal attachments must sometimes yield to the greater duty of the crown. The letter, brief yet powerful, offered a rare window into the private thoughts of a royal often known for her composure. It revealed a woman wrestling with history, responsibility, and the pressures of a family watched by the world. And in its carefully chosen words, one truth rang out loud and clear. For Princess Anne, the monarchy was bigger than anyone's personal feelings, and its preservation demanded courage, clarity, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. So, what do you think about Princess Anne's ban on Camilla? Let us know your answer in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.